Welcome to today's podcast. We are exploring a boardroom psychology topic today, strengthening boards by understanding director's personality. How understanding the different personalities on the board can make a big difference in how well it works together. Every director brings its own style and strength, and by recognizing these unique traits, board can improve teamwork, communication, and decision making. So today, our eminent guest will share the insights how the board can use these personality differences to become more effective and successful. So let's dive in today's a very important and crucial topic. So we are joined by a very renowned psychologist, psychotherapist, and speaker, author, and inner personality enhancement trainer, Ms. Archana Shaktawat. And she's having over 9 years of experience. She now works with various educational institutions and companies, helping individuals to realize their true potential. Her passion for personal growth led her to earn advanced degrees in counseling and clinical psychology, and she continues to refine her expertise through certifications in therapies like CBT, DBT, ACT, and NLP. She has also trained under globally respected coaches, including Tony Robbins, Dr. Yogendra Rathore, and Blair Singer. Beyond her training work, she has also founded her own NGO, Muthi Sansthan, to raise awareness on sexual offences and women legal rights, positively impacting nearly 15,000 young girls in Udaipur district. Her commitment to personal growth, mental awareness, and wellness and advocacy makes her an inspiring force in the field of emotional intelligence and personality development. Ma'am, what an impressive profile, and I'm honored, to have you on my show. Welcome, ma'am. Welcome, ma'am, to the show.
Thank you so much, Shilpi. In fact, I want to thank you for such a wonderful introduction, and I think you yourself are very well accomplished. So to have a podcast with a well-accomplished woman who's so knowledgeable, I am looking forward to this conversation today.
Thank you. Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much. So, ma'am, you have extensively worked with corporates. So just to start off with a very, impactful question, what are the different personality types commonly found among corporate leaders and directors in the boardroom, and how can understanding this different type of personalities improve the collaboration and decision making, which is the most important aspect of corporate governance?
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, one is this topic is so innovative, so creative, because I always feel that when it comes to corporate culture, people generally forget to understand personalities. That is where they make the biggest difference. I would say a mistake or an error. Right. So on an average, when it comes to personality types, especially with leaders, there are about good five to six personality types that are commonly seen, and something that you'll come across more often because they do have a leadership to them. That is why they've reached that scale, or they've reached a board, or they are at a corporate position where they have the ability to make a decision. So the first ones will always be visionaries. That is why they are there in that position, So there are those forward-thinking, creative, people who really want long-term goals. And then there are also innovators. So visionaries and innovators go hand in hand. So when it comes to such people, who are extremely creative and have a lot of vision, you'll have to understand that you'll have to respect that creativity, because they don't like being challenged on their vision.
Right.
So you will have to learn to become the executor. So they'll have great ideas, they'll have great plans. So you will have to learn to incorporate your action abilities or execution abilities, because in this very big picture thinking, they tend to forget, or they ignore some of those immediate goals or the minute hiccups that can come. So that's where you can actually work the best with visionaries, and you learn a lot. You also develop a lot of creative skills for yours. Second are the ones which I have worked the maximum with in my corporate life are the analysts. They are the ones who come from your field.
Yes.
They are the company secretaries and chartered accountants, who really want a lot of logic, data-driven, detail-driven, and, they love accuracy and they love evaluation. So when it comes to such leaders or such directors in the boardroom, you will have to do your homework anymore. Right? You cannot go unplanned. You have to go with a lot of data, lot of supporting material, and whatever that you say and do must be backed with evidence. Right? And also be ready for a lot of questions. They'll ask you a lot of questions, so be patient. And this is where understanding comes in. You'll have to understand that they are analysts, and they have great strengths to themselves. Another type that I am very fond of and I've not worked much with, but I have worked, I really hope I had more leaders like that in my career. They are the diplomats. They are the team builders. They are very good with human connections, conflict resolution, and also where you require consensus. So if you are in a board where you have somebody who's a diplomat, wherever you feel that there's a conflict that comes in, wherever you feel that two people are not agreeing, you let them intervene, let them be the mediator, and let them be the facilitators. Right? You'll have to understand about them. They are very good with conflict resolution. And there, I'm sure in each board and in each leadership role, one person will always be a diplomat. Another type that I am extremely fond of, and I really hope that I become like that one day, are the drivers. They are action takers. They believe in deadlines. They believe in setting goals, immediate goals, and that is what matters to them. So with them, you go with deadlines, you go with short-term goals, and you have to make sure that you give them results. You don't talk about what's going to happen 10 years later. You do that with visionaries. With drivers, you talk about what's going to happen in 6 months or 1 year, depending upon what the project is or what decision you're coming in. And the last ones are actually a little tricky to handle. They are like those elderly people that we have in our house, which are the guardians, where they are very, very focused on ethics, values, and the integrity of the board, right? And they don't like changes. And whatever change that you bring, they want it to be according to the core value of the organization. Yeah. So you just have to understand that you'll have to put a balance between change, stability, and security. And that's it. I think you're good to go. So these are on an average 5 odd personality types commonly seen in leadership roles, right? They all are great leaders, but these are some of the common types that you see in leadership roles. So I hope that answers your question.
Yes, ma'am. Fantastic analysis. And I think understanding the different personality types in the boardroom is essential for effective leadership. And each director, brings a unique strength on the table, but also present challenges when it comes to collaboration. So learning to recognize the personality types, can help improve communication, reducing the conflicts, and enhancing overall board performance. Like rightly said, ma'am. And it is so important. I think corporate governance is not just, ticking the compliances boxes and compliances with the laws and regulations, but basically what I feel, it is about understanding the people, understanding the human behavior in the boardroom, because that's where your decisions comes from, So,
absolutely.
So
correct.
important.
I couldn't agree more with you. I just want to add one point here, Shilpi. What people fail to realize in leadership roles, that the most important skill that they need is social skills, is human skills.
Right.
Because your voice is heard, your voice is actioned upon, and your voice influences people. So it is very important that you as an individual also put in a lot of effort to understand your personality type, because we all have certain core personalities which we cannot change.
Right, ma'am.
The minute you know your own personality, you'll be able to understand others as well.
And that's where we lack actually. We don't know ourselves. And it's very important.
Answering who am I is a very difficult question.
Fantastic, ma'am. Let's move to the next question. What strategies can be used to work effectively with each type to ensure that cohesive and productive board dynamics are there?
Right, absolutely. So it's very important that you get into the habit, one, not just observing others, but also observing yourself. So in psychology, we call it self-awareness, where you make it a point that you're not judging anybody. You're just observing and noticing. So the number one strategy is get into the habit of being quieter, listening more and talking less, and observing people. Because you don't understand personality in one go. You need to spend time with the person through their body language, through their gestures, through the tone of the voice, and sometimes even the words that they use. You come to know and you understand their personality type, right? So this is one strategy you could apply. Second is, once you have a basic understanding of what the person is like, please start assigning or please start working with their strengths and not complaining about their weaknesses. which is typically human, where we always say, "Wo to sunta hi nahi, I'm so tired, he doesn't do this." Rather than saying, "Fine, let me leave that aside, let me focus on what he's good." Giving an example of the personality type that I have worked a lot, the analyst. Now they can actually get impatient because they want logics, they want data. And when you don't provide that, they get irritable. So rather than saying that, why does he get irritated?
Yes.
You give them what he wants. And actually, they are very helpful, very, very helpful in financial decision making. They are the best. Right? The third thing that you could do is have encourage a lot of open communication and transparency. And you will, as you develop self-awareness, you also work on self-acceptance, which in psychology is called self-acceptance. If I talk in regular leadership language, it is the ability to adapt. It is the ability to be flexible to change. Like you're open. You're not fighting. You accept the way things are. I'm not fighting. Why do you see a 9 and why do I see a 6? I accept that you see differently, I see differently. Right? And one of the most effective ways, as a trainer, I would suggest that, sometimes we always have workshops more for middle and lower level management and never for top and leaders. We need to have these workshops, these training sessions, with the help of psychologists, where we help you assess your personality. There are a lot of personality types. So once you come to know your own, you'll automatically learn to develop. You'll understand other people also better. Who am I first begins with who am I, and then you say who are others. If you don't know who you are, you'll always end up copying others.
Right, ma'am.
And a copy is a copy, right?
Exactly.
I one thing I forgot to mention in your first question is what could be some of the advantages if you know personality types, right? I'm sorry, I guess I was elaborating on, that's my favorite topic, that's why. So, like I always feel the biggest advantage is you'll have very balanced decision making. And that is what I have also seen, that, it doesn't have to be a boardroom, even in a family where everybody is heard, where everybody had a voice and that was heard, the decision will always be balanced. And the second most important and the best advantage is every time, each one of us, it's human being, whether you are at a leadership role or you're at lower level management, doesn't matter. We are human beings. Every time we feel we are understood, we are very productive.
Yes.
Because we feel that we are now important, we do have a value. So when everybody in the board is understood, imagine they'll actually be performing to the best of their abilities. You'll have the best decisions, best productive work coming out from the board.
Exactly, ma'am. Exactly. I think communication is so important.
Correct.
So for that, you need to understand yourself, very rightly said, and that will make you understand the people around you more.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Correct.
So, ma'am, by employing these strategies that align with this personality types, obviously the board can foster more cohesive and productive environment. It is about creating an atmosphere, which you rightly said, where each member feels heard, valued, and able to contribute in the most effective way. So that is, I think, very important. And I think we have a familiarization program for the directors, once or twice a year, which is also mandatory by the the laws applicable to them. And so I think this session from psychologist is so important, and it should be a first session. So because that's a core actually from where you take decisions, where you work together. You get the ideas, strategies about working as a team together. That's so important.
Right. So,
ma'am, what kind of workshops you undertake for the corporates, and what you cover?
So when it comes to the corporate culture, communication obviously plays a bigger role, which has got to do with interpersonal communication. And since I'm a psychologist, I focus a lot on personal growth, because I have this understanding, and I'm a living example of this, that if I don't talk nice to myself, I doubt I can be nice to anybody else. If my inner voice is constantly telling me I'm not good enough, what am I doing, what the hell is happening, I'll every day be wearing a mask, unnecessarily smiling or forcing myself to smile, and this cannot go on for too long. So most of the workshops delve a lot into personal growth, lot of self-assessment. The first day is called self-assess for success. Unless you know yourself, you will never be able to take yourself forward or understand your true potential. Then it jumps into communication, which is more to do with interpersonal, rapport building, learning to say no, which is a very important skill. How do you work better in a team? Again, by empathy. Focus is more on the psychological concepts. I don't do too much of leadership, but I do know rapport building, learning to say no, and empathy.
Yes.
These are all a
That's
part
very
of
important.
leadership, but I
Expressing
like
your
to
thoughts.
call it.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. And then we go into emotional regulation, where we work a lot on emotional intelligence, which is again a very core portion in the corporate culture, because sometimes we are extremely emotionally driven, and then sometimes we become stoic.
Right.
And generally we associate upper management as indifferent, heartless, and middle management always feels very. I mean, they're always squeezed in their emotions. So how do you regulate these emotions better?
Right.
So yeah, this is exactly how it goes.
Ma'am, it's a diverse topic actually. So
Right,
I myself is
absolutely.
a psychologic enthusiast and I read a lot of topics and books on psychology. So if you see my library,
Correct.
50% is on psychology only. And it really helps, when you
It
in the
really
profession, I
helps.
think the professional needs the most the skills.
Yes,
It's a
absolutely.
non-negotiable skill for any professional, whether you are on the leadership level or top leadership level, on the board, in the middle management. I think this is non-negotiable. And
Yeah. So, Dr. Shilpi, I just want to point out something here. It's more like a confession. If you probably would have met me, because psychology happened to me a little later, where, I was working in the hotels, and then I took up psychology more out of a calling than actually a
Right.
profession that I
Right.
chose. So if you had met me 10 years back, you would not have liked me. I think psychology has made me a better human being.
Yes,
I've become far more humble.
Yes.
My control over my anger has improved. I've learned to take in perspectives. And most importantly, my listening ability today is,
most important.
according to me, is at its epitome.
Most important.
So
ma'am.
I think I have probably, if I wouldn't have gone into psychology, I don't think I would have really grown or evolved as a better human being.
Right.
So
ma'am.
it's a confession that I've become a better person.
No, ma'am, it's really a very important skill. I think even the psychology should be a compulsory subject in every school. So
Yes.
because
I think now I understand my parents better, my colleagues better, my
Yes.
friends better, my clients better. I think your understanding of human behavior improves.
I agree, ma'am. I agree.
And then the minute you understand, judgment reduces.
Yes, definitely.
That's the beauty. That's the beauty.
And that's where you start working with a person. That's where you get the result.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So that's
Right,
very important,
right.
ma'am. Thank you, ma'am. What a fantastic chat. And I
Yeah,
think
it was. And thanks to you, what a wonderful topic to get on the table.
that's very important, because when I attend board meetings, when I advise my clients, I see most of the people they struggle with emotional regulations and all that, and that impact the organization to the greater extent, because
Absolutely.
the decision making is a very important aspect. If you go wrong in
Correct,
that,
it is.
then it is a non-negotiable thing. So I think
Right, absolutely.
yeah, so I think every organization, every board should have a personal psychologist nowadays.
Yes, I know.
Answers,
Probably.
yeah. Certain questions are
Sorry.
unanswered, ma'am. You cannot discuss with anyone. You are not able to find answers yourself. You need a third perspective and a neutral perspective, to analyze the situation and guide you. So nothing wrong in that.
Absolutely, right. So, like I always say this, even a therapist needs a therapist. So even I have a therapist,
Yes,
because even
yes.
I sometimes need a very
Nothing wrong
non-judgmental
in that,
approach
yes.
towards certain things that I'm doing, right?
Exactly.
So I don't think there's any harm in reaching out for help. In fact, it takes a lot of courage and strength if you really reach
Yes,
out to
yes.
and ask for help.
Why should one suffer? If you're not able to
Yeah.
find a proper direction, go and seek help. There's nothing wrong in that.
Absolutely.
And when you are
Correct.
in the corporates, there is more need. You're in so much stress,
Oh, yes, it is.
deadlines,
Absolutely.
everything.
Yeah.
So to make a career is not an easy job. Lot
Not at all. And then, the best and the worst part is you're surrounded with so many people.
Right.
So many personalities.
So many
different
energy.
I'm sorry, I have to use the word, so many different egos.
Egos.
So many
Ego play.
different-
Ma'am, that's a very
Correct.
valid.
And sometimes, yes, you do come across difficulty, right?
Very difficult,
And it
yes.
can be challenging. It can be
Yes.
challenging. So more than, I think, work pressure, sometimes people contribute more to your stress. And that's when you'll have to learn to understand that probably this is who he is. and there's no point fighting or ignoring him. I
Yes.
have to learn to accept
Exactly.
and challenge the way he's doing it so that I don't struggle in that journey.
Right. So I often, tell my staff that I have become more of the HR now. Dealing with staff, dealing with clients day in, day out, really
Yes.
you struggle sometimes, to figure it out, the right solution for your challenges. Thank you, ma'am. What a fantastic chat. And I think our listeners will, gain wonderful insights from your valuable views. And we look forward to reconnect with you on more psychological topics ahead.
Thank you so much once
Thank you,
again
thank
for
you
that
for
wonderful
joining us, ma'am.
opportunity.
And yeah, thank you so much. And until next time, goodbye.